France. The mere mention of this country conjures images of the Eiffel Tower piercing through morning mist, couples strolling hand in hand along the Seine, and waiters in pristine white aprons serving wine that costs more than your monthly rent. You've seen it in movies, you've dreamed about it, maybe you've even planned that romantic getaway. But what if I told you there's a completely different France waiting behind those Instagram-perfect facades? What if I told you that with just $700 a month, you could actually live there and experience something far more authentic than any tourist ever will? Now, before you roll your eyes and assume this is another one of those live your dream for pennies fantasies, let me stop you right there. This isn't about sleeping in hostels or surviving on instant noodles for months. This is about cracking the code that locals have known for generations. How to live well in France without breaking the bank. The French have mastered something Americans struggle with, the art of living well with less. While we're taught to consume, accumulate, and upgrade constantly, the French have been practicing mindful living for centuries. They buy quality items once instead of cheap replacements repeatedly. They prioritize experiences over possessions. They turn frugality into an art form without sacrificing pleasure. And this is the secret that makes $700 not just survivable, but genuinely enjoyable. But let's be honest about what we're dealing with here. France isn't Thailand or Guatemala where your dollar stretches into infinity. This is Western Europe, where a simple café au lait can cost you $3.50 and a metro ticket hits you for nearly $2. The housing market in Paris makes Manhattan look affordable. Yet thousands of students, artists, and young professionals make it work every single month on budgets that would make French bureaucrats weep. The question isn't whether it's possible. The question is whether you're willing to live like a local instead of a tourist. The beauty of this challenge is that it forces you into the real France. You can't afford the touristy restaurants with English menus and inflated prices. You can't stay in hotels or eat at establishments designed for people with American salaries. Instead, you're pushed into neighborhood boulangeries where the baker recognizes your face after 3 visits. You shop at markets where vendors slip you an extra apple because you bothered to learn their names. You find yourself in tiny bars where locals argue passionately about soccer, while sharing bottles of wine that cost less than a Starbucks Frappuccino back home. This isn't just about money, it's about access. When you're living on $700 in France, you're not observing French culture from behind a tourist glass barrier. You're participating in it. You're learning which neighborhoods have the best cheap eats, which markets offer end of day discounts, and which metro routes help you avoid the tourist traps entirely. You're becoming part of the ecosystem instead of just visiting it. So if you're ready to trade your preconceptions for genuine experiences, your comfort zone for real adventure, and your tourist checklist for authentic stories worth telling, then buckle up, because we're about to show you a France that guidebooks don't mention and Instagram never captures. The France where real people actually live, laugh, and somehow make magic happen on budgets that shouldn't work but absolutely do. France is roughly the size of Texas, but packed with more diversity than most Americans could imagine cramming into a single state. From the Mediterranean beaches of the Côte d'Azur, where celebrities drop millions on yachts, to the rolling hills of Normandy where you can rent a cottage for less than a parking spot in San Francisco, this country offers drastically different price points depending on where you plant your feet. The key to making $700 work isn't just about finding cheap places. It is about finding places where your money transforms you from broke foreigner to comfortable resident. Paris might be the dream, but your wallet will quickly remind you that dreams and reality rarely share bank accounts. A studio apartment in the 6th arrondissement will consume your entire budget before you've even bought your first baguette. But venture out to cities that don't appear on tourist postcards, and suddenly your dollars start doing mathematical tricks that would make your finance professor proud. Lyon, France's 3rd largest city, offers the perfect example of geographical arbitrage at work. This UNESCO World Heritage Site boasts world-class cuisine. Locals claim it rivals Paris, yet rent prices hover around 60% lower than the capital. A 1-bedroom apartment in Lyon's charming Croix-Rousse district, where silk workers once operated their looms, can be found for €400 to €500 monthly. That's roughly $430 to $540, leaving you with a comfortable cushion for food, transport, and the occasional bottle of wine that doesn't come in a box. But the real magic happens when you venture beyond the major cities entirely. Towns with populations between 10,000 and 50,000 offer something that's increasingly rare in modern Europe: genuine affordability without sacrificing quality of life. Montpellier, with its prestigious university and Mediterranean proximity, provides big city amenities with small-town prices. Angers, nestled in the Loire Valley among world-famous chateaux, offers rent so reasonable you'll double-check the listings for typos. The secret weapon of budget living in France lies in understanding the country's transportation network. The Tour regional trains connect smaller cities and towns to major urban centers with efficiency. That puts American public transit to shame. This means you can live in Chartres, famous for its magnificent cathedral, and commute to Paris for work or weekend adventures. Your monthly train pass costs around 75 euros, but your rent drops from Paris's 1,000 to 100 euros studios to Chartres's 300 euros apartments. The mathematics become quite beautiful when you start thinking strategically instead of romantically. Geography also determines your food costs in ways that surprise most Americans. Coastal regions obviously excel at seafood, but they also charge premium prices for that ocean proximity. However, agricultural regions like Burgundy or the Loire Valley offer markets overflowing with local produce at prices that make grocery chains look criminal. When local farmers sell directly to consumers, everyone wins, except perhaps your ability to maintain a reasonable weight while eating the best tomatoes, peaches, and cheese your taste buds have ever encountered. Climate plays a sneaky role in budget calculations too. The South enjoys Mediterranean weather that reduces heating costs significantly, but summer tourism drives prices up precisely when you most want to enjoy those seaside cafes. Northern regions offer cooler temperatures and lower prices, but your heating bill becomes a legitimate budget concern during winter months. The central regions provide the best of both worlds: moderate climate, reasonable prices, and easy access to both Paris and the countryside when wanderlust strikes. The Alps and Pyrenees present their own unique opportunities for budget living. Ski resort towns might seem impossibly expensive, but they operate on seasonal economies. During off-seasons, these picturesque mountain villages practically beg for residents willing to pay summer prices. For winter accommodations, your $700 budget can secure mountain views and hiking trails right outside your door. Assuming you're flexible about timing and employment, regional French accents and dialects create another layer of geographical consideration for budget travelers. Southern French carries musical inflections that sound nothing like Parisian French, while Alsatian regions blend French with Germanic influences. Learning these local variations isn't just culturally respectful, it's economically advantageous. Locals appreciate the effort and often reward it with insider knowledge about the cheapest markets, the most generous bistro portions, and the landlords who prefer long-term renters over short-term profits. Living in France means adapting to rhythms that operate on entirely different frequencies than American life. The French have mastered something we've forgotten: the concept that life should be lived, not just survived. This philosophy doesn't just sound poetic. It has direct financial implications that make your $700 budget stretch further than pure mathematics would suggest. French lunch culture exemplifies this perfectly. While Americans wolf down sad desk salads or spend $15 on mediocre takeout, the French maintain a sacred 2-hour lunch break that makes budget eating an art form. Restaurants offer menu du jour, fixed-price lunches including starter, main course. The French workday structure creates opportunities that budget-conscious foreigners can exploit intelligently. Shops close from noon to 2 p.m., but this isn't inconvenient, it's strategic. Market vendors offer dramatic discounts on remaining produce right before lunch breaks. Bread shops slash prices on morning pastries around 1 p.m. Clothing stores mark down items before extended breaks. Understanding these rhythms turns daily life into a treasure hunt where patience pays literal dividends. Evening culture in France revolves around the concept of aperitif, pre-dinner drinks. that stretch into social occasions lasting hours. This tradition makes entertainment remarkably affordable. Instead of expensive dinner dates, locals meet for drinks and small plates that cost a fraction of full meals. A glass of wine costs €3 to 4, but it comes with olives, nuts, or cheese that constitute light dinner. For friends, splitting to bottles of wine and appetizers spend less individually than one person. Dining alone at casual American restaurants. The French relationship with time creates budget advantages that compound daily. Stores remain open later than their American counterparts, but they also observe longer lunch breaks and shorter weekend hours. This rhythm initially frustrates Americans, accustomed to 24/7's convenience, but it also creates opportunities for those willing to adapt. Weekend markets offer the freshest produce at the lowest prices, but only if you arrive early Saturday morning. Learning to shop when locals shop, eat when locals eat, and socialize when locals socialize automatically plugs you into the most affordable options. French vacation culture provides another budget hack that most Americans never discover. The country essentially shuts down during August as workers take month-long vacations. Rent prices plummet as landlords prefer occupied properties over empty ones. Restaurants offer special summer menus to attract remaining locals. Even entertainment venues reduce prices, rather than operate at losses. If your schedule permits August residence in France, your $700 budget gains purchasing power equivalent to $1,000 during peak season. The café culture that defines French social life operates on unwritten rules that benefit budget-conscious participants. Ordering a single café au lait grants you table rights for hours, without pressure to purchase additional items. Free Wi-Fi, bathroom access, and social observation come included with that $3 coffee. Business meetings, first dates, and casual catch-ups all happen in cafes where lingering is encouraged rather than discouraged. Americans spending $20 on coffee shops for similar social experiences are essentially paying premium prices for inferior French café knockoffs. French bureaucracy, while frustrating, also creates systems that benefit long-term residents over tourists. The French approach to fashion and consumption directly impacts budget calculations. Quality clothing purchased infrequently costs less over time than constant cheap replacements. French wardrobes emphasize versatile, well-made pieces that work across seasons and occasions. This philosophy applies to everything from cookware to furniture. Initial investments in quality items reduce long-term expenses significantly. Social hierarchies in French culture also work in favor of budget living. University students receive discounts everywhere: museums, transportation, restaurants, and entertainment venues. Young professionals under 25 qualify for numerous subsidies and reduced rates. Even tourists can access many of these benefits by understanding which discounts apply to age, student status, or residence duration rather than citizenship. French food culture represents the ultimate intersection of pleasure and practicality, where eating well doesn't require spending extravagantly. The secret lies in understanding that French cuisine excellence comes from technique, seasonality, and quality ingredients rather than expensive restaurants and fancy presentations. Your $700 budget can provide better meals in France than $1,500 budgets deliver in most American cities, assuming you're willing to eat like locals instead of tourists. The daily baguette ritual offers the perfect entry point into authentic French food economics. Every neighborhood boulangerie produces fresh bread twice daily, morning and afternoon batches that locals time their schedules around. A traditional baguette costs €1.20, roughly $1.30, and provides the foundation for multiple meals. Pair it with local cheese from the fromagerie, seasonal fruit from the market, and a bottle of regional wine, and you've created a meal that rivals expensive restaurant experiences for under $8 total. French markets operate on systems that reward knowledge over wealth. Morning shoppers pay premium prices for peak selection, but afternoon bargain hunters score dramatic discounts as vendors prefer sales over waste. Seasonal eating isn't just trendy in France, it's economical. Summer tomatoes cost €2 per kilogram while winter greenhouse tomatoes hit €6. Autumn apples flood markets at €1 and 50 cents per kilogram, but spring imports reach €4. Learning seasonal patterns turns grocery shopping into strategic planning. That impacts your budget significantly. The course's structure of French meals actually reduces total food costs through portion control and satisfaction psychology. Rather than large single dishes that encourage overeating, French meals provide smaller portions across multiple courses. That creates satisfaction through variety and pacing. Wine culture in France demolishes American assumptions about alcohol costs. Regional wines from local producers cost €3 to $5 per bottle for quality that American wine shops sell at $15 to $20. The French consume wine as food accompaniment rather than intoxication method, meaning a bottle shared over dinner stretches across the entire meal. Restaurants mark up wine significantly, but grocery stores and wine shops offer incredible values that make daily wine consumption affordable rather than luxurious. Street food in France requires recalibrating expectations from American standards. Instead of food trucks serving fusion tacos, French street food centers around creperies, sandwich shops, and market stalls offering traditional preparations. A complete galette savory crepe with egg, cheese, and ham costs €4 to €6 and provides substantial lunch. Falafel in the Jewish quarter of Paris rivals anything in New York for €5. Regional specialties like Saka and Nice or Kuinaman in Brittany offer authentic experiences at prices that encourage exploration rather than budgeting. The French approach to grocery shopping emphasizes specialization over convenience. Instead of massive supermarkets, neighborhoods feature boulangeries for bread, bakeries for meat, fromageries for cheese, poissonneries for fish, and small epiceries for basics. This system initially seems inefficient, but it actually reduces costs through direct relationships with specialists, who provide better quality at lower prices than supermarket chains charging for convenience and selection. Cooking in France benefits from infrastructure designed for daily food preparation. Even studio apartments feature proper kitchens with full-size refrigerators, gas stoves, and adequate counter space. Contrast this with American micro-kitchens that encourage takeout dependence, and the budget implications become clear. Preparing meals at home using fresh French ingredients costs substantially less than eating out while providing superior nutrition and satisfaction. Regional food specialties create opportunities for budget-conscious food tourism within France. Burgundy produces world-class wines at local prices that seem impossible compared to export costs. Normandy offers apple-based products, cream, and seafood at prices that reflect local abundance rather than global demand. Provence markets overflow with olive oil, herbs, and vegetables that cost premium prices elsewhere but represent everyday staples in their region of origin. Restaurant culture in France operates on different economics than American dining. Lunch menus offer substantial savings over dinner prices at identical establishments. Neighborhood bistros provide better value than trendy restaurants in tourist areas. The Plat du Jour daily special typically represents the chef as best value. Fresh ingredients purchased that morning and prepared in quantities that ensure quality while managing costs. The mythology surrounding French romance creates expectations that reality rarely matches. But the actual dating culture in France offers advantages for budget-conscious individuals that American dating rarely provides. French social interactions emphasize conversation, shared experiences, and intellectual connection over expensive demonstrations of affection. This cultural preference for substance over spending can make your $700 budget more compatible with active social life than similar amounts in cities obsessed with costly date experiences. French dating begins with café meetings rather than elaborate dinner dates. The pressure to impress through expensive restaurants, concert tickets, or weekend getaways doesn't define early relationship stages. Instead, couples meet for coffee, walk through parks, visit free museums, or share bottles of wine on apartment balconies overlooking neighborhood streets. These activities cost substantially less than American dating while providing better opportunities for genuine connection through conversation rather than entertainment consumption. The French concept of seduction differs dramatically from American pickup culture. Flirtation happens through intellectual banter, cultural references, and subtle charm rather than flashy displays of wealth or status symbols. This creates social environments where personality, humor, and conversation skills matter more than designer clothing or expensive gadgets. Your budget limitations become irrelevant when cultural values prioritize width over wall thickness. French social circles operate through interconnected networks that expand opportunities for meeting potential partners without expensive social venues. University programs, language exchanges, neighborhood associations, and workplace connections create natural meeting opportunities that don't require cover charges, expensive drinks, or costly memberships. These organic social interactions also tend to produce more compatible relationships, since they are based on shared interests or circumstances rather than superficial attractions. The pace of French relationships typically moves more slowly than American hookup culture, which actually benefits budget management significantly. Relationships develop through extended courtship periods involving low-cost activities, picnics, museum visits, neighborhood exploration, and home-cooked meals. This slower progression allows relationships to deepen before expensive activities like weekend trips, concert tickets, or fancy restaurants become expected relationship elements. French attitudes toward gender roles in relationships create interesting dynamics for budget-conscious dating. Traditional expectations about men paying for dates exist, but aren't as rigid as American assumptions. Splitting expenses part of your addition is completely acceptable, especially among younger generations and in casual dating situations. This cultural flexibility reduces financial pressure on individuals regardless of gender, while allowing relationships to develop based on compatibility rather than economic capability. Living arrangements in France accommodate relationship development differently than American patterns. Studio apartments and small spaces encourage couples to spend time outside their homes, leading to activities like market shopping, park picnics, and neighborhood cafe visits that cost less than home entertainment systems or streaming service subscriptions. The necessity of leaving cramped quarters creates natural opportunities for shared experiences that strengthen relationships while staying within budget constraints. French social events emphasize potluck-style gatherings, where everyone contributes something rather than single hosts bearing entire entertaining costs. House parties involve guests bringing wine, cheese, or desserts to share. Birthday celebrations happen in apartments or parks with collaborative meal preparation. These social patterns create active social lives without requiring significant individual expenses, making it possible to maintain friendships and relationships while living on limited budgets. Breakup culture in France tends toward more civilized conclusions than dramatic American relationship endings. Former couples often maintain friendships and continue socializing within the same circles, without creating awkward social dynamics that force expensive venue changes or friend group divisions. This maturity reduces the social costs associated with relationship changes and allows individuals to maintain established social networks that support budget-friendly entertainment options. The French emphasis on cultural sophistication creates dating opportunities around free or low-cost activities that American dating culture often overlooks. Art gallery openings, book readings, political discussions, and cultural events provide intellectual stimulation that French individuals find attractive in potential partners. These activities cost little or nothing while offering substantial conversation topics and shared experiences that support relationship development. French festival culture operates on a completely different economic model than American entertainment, where authentic cultural celebrations remain accessible to everyone regardless of budget constraints. Understanding the French calendar of festivities can transform your $700 monthly budget from survival tool into genuine cultural immersion funding, providing experiences that tourists pay premium prices to glimpse briefly. The Summer Festival season demonstrates how French cultural values prioritize community participation over commercial profit. Fête de la Musique on June 21st transforms every French city into a free concert venue, where professional musicians, amateur bands, and street performers create musical experiences that rival expensive music festivals. Your only cost involves transportation between venues and perhaps a bottle of wine to enhance the experience. Compare this to American music festivals charging $300 plus for weekend passes, and the economic advantages become obvious. Village festivals throughout France offer cultural immersion. That money can't buy tourist-focused events. Every small town celebrates its patron saint, local harvest, or historical anniversary with festivals featuring traditional food, regional music, and community activities. These celebrations welcome outsiders enthusiastically while maintaining authentic character that hasn't been modified for tourist consumption. Participation costs range from free to nominal amounts for food and local wine. Bastille Day celebrations on July 14th exemplify how French national pride manifests. Through accessible public festivities rather than commercialized entertainment, cities organize free concerts, fireworks displays, and street parties that rival New Year's Eve celebrations in other countries. The tradition of Bal des Pompiers, firefighter-hosted dances, provides organized entertainment at community centers with minimal entrance fees that cover basic refreshments. Rather than profit margins, regional wine harvest festivals create opportunities for cultural participation that combine education, entertainment, and networking with local producers. Burgundy's wine harvest festivals, Loire Valley vineyard celebrations, and Provence olive festivals welcome visitors to participate in traditional activities, while sampling local products at producer prices rather than retail markups. These events provide cultural education, social opportunities, and access to local food and wine networks that support ongoing budget-friendly living. Christmas markets throughout France offer holiday experiences without the commercial pressure characterizing American holiday celebrations. Traditional Christmas markets feature local artisans, regional specialties, and handmade products at prices reflecting local economies rather than tourist markups. Mulled wine costs €3, traditional pastries average €2 to €4, and handmade crafts provide meaningful gifts at reasonable prices. The atmosphere emphasizes community celebration rather than consumption competition. French cultural institutions organize free or low-cost events year-round that provide entertainment value exceeding expensive commercial alternatives. Museums offer free admission days, libraries host author readings and cultural discussions, and community centers organize language exchanges, cooking classes, and art workshops. These institutional programs create social opportunities while supporting cultural education that enhances your French living experience significantly. Seasonal celebrations in France follow agricultural and religious calendars that connect communities to natural rhythms often lost in urban American life. Spring festivals celebrate renewed growth with flower shows and garden tours. Summer solstice brings community picnics and outdoor performances. Autumn harvest festivals feature local produce, traditional recipes, and preservation techniques. Winter celebrations emphasize gathering, storytelling, and comfort food traditions. Participating in these seasonal rhythms provides cultural connection. While maintaining budget-friendly entertainment options, French sporting events create community experiences that don't require expensive tickets or premium seating. Local soccer matches, cycling races, and pétanque tournaments provide entertainment and social interaction at minimal cost. The Tour de France passes through communities, creating festival atmospheres with free viewing opportunities and celebration activities. Rugby matches in southwestern France offer cultural experiences combining sport with regional pride and community gathering. Street art festivals and cultural weeks in French cities provide contemporary cultural experiences without commercial festival pricing. Cities like Lyon, Marseille, and Bordeaux organize annual events featuring international artists, local musicians, and cultural performances that transform public spaces into temporary art venues. These events prioritize cultural access over profit generation, creating opportunities for meaningful cultural engagement within any budget constraint. The mathematics of living on $700 monthly in France requires strategic thinking that transforms limitations into advantages through understanding systems that locals take for granted. This isn't about deprivation, it's about optimization. French social structures, housing options, and daily life patterns create opportunities for comfortable living that American approaches to budgeting rarely recognize or exploit effectively. Housing represents the largest budget component, typically consuming 40 to 50% of monthly income in sustainable living situations. The key lies in understanding French rental markets beyond tourist-oriented listings. Long-term rentals through local agencies, university housing networks, and word-of-mouth recommendations offer substantially better value than online platforms designed for short-term visitors. A studio apartment in Montpellier averages €350 monthly, leaving €350 for all other expenses, while similar spaces in line range from €400 to €450, providing slightly less cushion but access to larger urban amenities. Utility costs in France operate differently than American expectations, with some pleasant surprises balancing occasional sticker shock. Internet connections averaging €25 monthly provide speeds and reliability that American providers charge $60 to $80 to deliver. Mobile phone plans cost €15.20 monthly for unlimited domestic calling and substantial data allowances. However, heating costs during winter months can impact budgets significantly, particularly in older buildings with inefficient systems. Strategic apartment selection considering insulation, heating type, and sun exposure becomes crucial for maintaining budget stability year-round. Transportation expenses in France reward strategic planning over spontaneous travel. Monthly, transportation passes in most cities cost €50 to $75, providing unlimited access to buses, trams, and local trains that connect urban areas efficiently. Bicycle purchases ranging from €100 to $300 provide long-term transportation solutions, while supporting health and environmental goals. Regional train passes offer weekend travel opportunities at costs far below individual ticket purchases, enabling cultural exploration throughout France without budget destruction. Food expenses demonstrate where French living philosophy creates genuine budget advantages. Shopping at local markets, seasonal eating, and cooking skills can maintain monthly food costs around €150 to $200 while providing nutrition and satisfaction that American fast food budgets can't match. The key involves understanding when and where to shop for optimal value. Morning markets for premium selection, afternoon markets for bargain prices, local producers for seasonal abundance, and specialty shops for items that supermarkets overprice. Entertainment and social life costs in France can be managed through understanding cultural patterns that prioritize experience over expense. Free museum days, public concerts, festival attendance, and café culture provide social stimulation and cultural enrichment that expensive American entertainment attempts to replicate. Budgeting €50 monthly for entertainment easily supports active social life when cultural infrastructure emphasizes access over profit. Healthcare considerations in France provide both opportunities and obligations for budget-conscious individuals. European health insurance cards provide emergency coverage, while private insurance supplements cost €30 to $50 monthly for comprehensive coverage exceeding American standard policies. Prescription medications cost substantially less than American equivalents, and routine medical care operates through systems designed for accessibility rather than profit maximization. Banking and financial services in France require initial setup costs, but provide ongoing advantages for budget management. European bank accounts eliminate international transaction fees, provide local payment capabilities, and offer services designed for resident rather than tourist needs. Initial account opening may require deposits ranging from €50 to $200, but ongoing maintenance costs remain minimal while providing financial stability essential for sustainable budget living. Seasonal budget adjustments become necessary for maintaining financial stability throughout French weather patterns and cultural rhythms. Summer months offer reduced heating costs, but increased temptation for travel and outdoor entertainment. Winter months require heating budgets, but provide opportunities for reduced activity costs and cultural activities emphasizing indoor gatherings. Understanding these seasonal patterns enables proactive budget management rather than reactive financial crisis management. Income generation opportunities in France depend heavily on legal status, language skills, and creative approaches to combining multiple revenue streams. English tutoring, freelance services, seasonal work, and part-time employment can supplement primary income, while providing cultural integration opportunities. Understanding tax obligations, work permits, and legal requirements becomes essential for maintaining both financial stability and legal compliance while living on limited budgets. French transportation systems operate on principles of efficiency, connectivity, and public access that Americans rarely experience in their car-dependent culture. Understanding these systems transforms mobility from expensive necessity into affordable adventure, enabling exploration and daily life management within tight budget constraints while providing access to experiences that private vehicle ownership could never deliver economically. The SNCF train network represents one of Europe's most comprehensive transportation systems, connecting major cities through high-speed TGV lines and smaller communities through regional tour services. Student discounts, advanced booking savings, and regional passes create opportunities for travel that American transportation costs make prohibitive. A monthly tour pass in regions like Burgundy or Loire Valley costs €75 but provides unlimited access to dozens of historic towns, vineyard regions, and cultural sites that would require expensive car rentals or tour packages to visit. Independently, metro systems in French cities operate with efficiency and coverage that puts American public transit to shame while maintaining costs that support, rather than strain modest budgets. Monthly passes range from €50 in smaller cities to €75 in Paris, providing unlimited access to comprehensive networks that connect residential areas with employment centers, entertainment districts, and cultural venues. These systems operate with frequency and reliability that eliminates transportation uncertainty, while supporting spontaneous social and cultural activities. Bicycle culture in France extends far beyond recreational activity into practical transportation that reduces costs while improving health and environmental impact. Cities throughout France provide bicycle rental systems, dedicated cycling infrastructure, and cultural acceptance that makes cycling safe and practical year-round. Initial bicycle investment of €200. 300 provides years of transportation while eliminating ongoing fuel, parking, and maintenance costs associated with private vehicle ownership. Intercity bus networks offer budget-friendly alternatives to train travel for longer distances, particularly for routes connecting smaller cities or crossing regional boundaries. Companies like Flixbus and Webus provide comfortable transportation between major cities at costs significantly lower than train tickets, though travel times increase accordingly. These services particularly benefit budget travelers willing to trade time for money, while maintaining access to national mobility. Car sharing and rental services in France accommodate occasional private vehicle needs without ongoing ownership costs. Services like Autolib in Paris or BlaBlaCar for longer distances provide access to private transportation when public options prove inadequate, while maintaining overall transportation budgets through usage-based rather than ownership-based costs. These services particularly benefit individuals living in areas with limited public transportation, while avoiding expenses associated with insurance, maintenance, parking, and depreciation. Walking culture in French cities creates transportation opportunities that American urban planning rarely supports. Compact city centers, pedestrian-friendly infrastructure, and mixed-use development patterns enable daily life management through walking that provides both transportation and exercise while supporting local business interaction and community engagement. Understanding walkable neighborhoods becomes crucial for apartment selection that supports budget-friendly lifestyle patterns. Regional transportation passes create opportunities for cultural exploration that individual ticket purchases would make financially prohibitive. Passes covering multiple transportation modes, trains, buses, metros, within specific regions provide access to diverse communities, cultural sites, and natural areas at costs that encourage exploration rather than limiting mobility. These passes particularly benefit individuals interested in understanding French regional diversity. Rather than limiting experience to single urban areas, transportation timing strategies can significantly reduce costs through understanding peak and off-peak pricing structures, advanced booking discounts, and seasonal variations. Train tickets purchased weeks in advance cost substantially less than last-minute purchases. Travel during off-peak hours provides both cost savings and more comfortable experiences. With reduced crowding, understanding these timing patterns enables budget-conscious individuals to maintain mobility while minimizing transportation expenses. International transportation from France provides access to broader European travel at costs that American international travel rarely matches. Budget airlines, train networks extending throughout Europe, and bus services connecting major European cities create opportunities for international cultural experiences at domestic transportation costs. Monthly transportation budgets can occasionally support weekend trips to neighboring countries that would require major vacation planning and expense from American starting points. Parking considerations in French cities make private vehicle ownership expensive and often impractical, but they also create urban environments where alternative transportation modes provide superior access to cultural, social, and employment opportunities. Understanding these urban design patterns helps budget-conscious individuals appreciate how French transportation systems support rather than hinder quality of life. While maintaining financial sustainability, real France exists in spaces that guidebooks ignore, and Instagram algorithms never promote. Places where your $700 budget provides authentic experiences that money can't buy in tourist-focused attractions. These hidden corners of French life offer cultural immersion opportunities that reveal why locals choose to stay rather than seeking adventures elsewhere, creating memories and understanding that expensive tourist activities rarely deliver. Small-town markets throughout France operate with rhythms unchanged for generations, where vendors recognize regular customers and conversations happen in regional dialects that Parisians struggle to understand. Thursday morning market in Sarlat, Saturday markets in Provence villages, or Tuesday markets in Norman coastal towns provide cultural experiences that showcase real French community life, while offering fresh produce, artisanal products, and local specialties at prices reflecting community economics rather than tourist markups. Regional chateaux beyond the Loire Valley tourist circuit offer historical experiences without crowd management or premium pricing. Burgundy Castle ruins provide hiking opportunities combined with historical education through landscapes shaped by centuries of agricultural development. Abandoned fortifications throughout France create exploration opportunities that combine outdoor recreation with historical learning, often accessible through public transportation and entrance fees, ranging from free to nominal amounts. Local festivals celebrating saints, harvests, or historical events provide cultural participation opportunities that tourists rarely discover. Village celebrations throughout France welcome outsiders while maintaining authentic character, focused on community enjoyment rather than visitor entertainment. These festivals showcase regional music, traditional food preparation, and social customs that reveal cultural depth extending far beyond surface-level tourist attractions. University towns throughout France offer cultural life that rivals major cities, while maintaining costs that support student populations. Cities like Poitiers, Clermont-Ferrand, or Grenoble provide intellectual stimulation, cultural events, and social opportunities at scales and prices designed for young people with limited budgets. These communities create environments where cultural sophistication meets economic accessibility, supporting rich intellectual and social life within modest financial means. Natural areas throughout France provide outdoor recreation opportunities that rival expensive resort destinations while remaining accessible through public transportation and minimal entrance fees. National parks, regional natural areas, and coastal paths offer hiking, cycling, and outdoor exploration that showcase France's geographic diversity. Beyond urban cultural attractions, these areas provide recreation and natural beauty that support mental health and physical fitness, while requiring minimal financial investment, Artisan workshops and studios throughout France offer opportunities to observe and sometimes participate in traditional craft production that industrial tourism rarely showcases. Pottery studios, textile workshops, woodworking shops, and food production facilities often welcome visitors interested in understanding traditional French craftsmanship. These experiences provide cultural education about French material culture, while supporting local artisans through direct interaction rather than retail markup. Regional museums in French towns focus on local history, culture, and specialties that provide cultural understanding impossible to gain through major tourist attractions. Wine museums in Burgundy, textile museums in Lyon, maritime museums in coastal areas, and agricultural museums throughout rural France offer specialized knowledge about regional culture and economy. These institutions typically charge minimal entrance fees while providing educational experiences that enhance understanding of French cultural diversity. Neighborhood bars and cafés in non-tourist areas operate as community centers, where local life happens naturally around affordable drinks and simple food. These establishments provide social observation opportunities and potential community integration that tourist-focused venues cannot deliver. Regular patronage creates relationships with owners and other customers that transform temporary visitors into temporary community members with access to local knowledge and social networks. Seasonal work opportunities in agriculture, tourism, and seasonal businesses provide income while offering cultural immersion that standard employment rarely delivers. Grape harvest in wine regions, fruit picking in agricultural areas, or seasonal resort work provide temporary employment combined with cultural learning and community integration. These opportunities often include housing and meals, reducing living costs while providing income. An authentic cultural experience. Religious and cultural ceremonies throughout France welcome respectful observers, while providing insight into French spiritual and cultural life. Often hidden from tourist observation, local church services, cultural ceremonies, and community celebrations offer opportunities to observe French social life in contexts where behavior reflects genuine cultural values, rather than performance for visitor consumption. These experiences provide cultural understanding that enhances appreciation for French society beyond surface-level tourism. Living in France on a tight budget requires understanding practical realities that romantic notions often overlook, but the French social systems provide safety nets and support structures that make modest budget living more secure than similar financial situations in many other countries. French healthcare, social services, and community support systems create environments where financial limitations don't necessarily translate into personal vulnerability or reduced quality of life. Healthcare in France operates through systems designed for universal access, rather than profit maximization, creating opportunities for budget-conscious individuals to maintain health and address medical needs without financial catastrophe. European health insurance cards provide emergency coverage for EU citizens, while private health insurance costs €30 to €50 monthly for comprehensive coverage. That includes routine care, prescription medications, and specialist consultations. Preventive care emphasis in French healthcare systems also reduces long-term medical costs through early intervention and health maintenance focus. Safety considerations in France vary significantly by location and circumstances, but overall crime rates remain substantially lower than American urban areas, while police presence maintains public order without creating oppressive surveillance atmospheres. Petty theft in tourist areas represents the primary safety concern for budget travelers, while violent crime remains relatively rare throughout most of France. Understanding neighborhood characteristics, avoiding obvious tourist behaviors, and maintaining situational awareness provides adequate personal security while living on modest budgets. Mental health support in French communities operates through multiple channels, including healthcare systems, community organizations, and social networks that provide assistance during difficult periods. Cultural emphasis on work-life balance, social connection, and community support creates environments more conducive to psychological well-being than high-stress, competitive American environments. Budget constraints need not isolate individuals from social support systems when community structures prioritize inclusion over economic status. Legal considerations for foreign residents in France require understanding visa requirements, work permissions, and tax obligations that vary significantly based on citizenship, intended duration of stay, and employment status. Student visas, working holiday permits, and EU citizenship create different legal frameworks with varying rights and responsibilities. Understanding legal requirements becomes essential for avoiding problems that could disrupt budget living arrangements or create unexpected expenses. Emergency preparedness on limited budgets requires strategic planning that accounts for potential medical emergencies, family crises, or unexpected expenses that could destabilize carefully managed financial situations. Maintaining emergency funds equivalent to 1 month's expenses provides cushion for unexpected costs, while travel insurance protects against major medical or emergency repatriation expenses. Understanding embassy services and emergency assistance options also provides security for citizens living abroad on limited resources. Language barriers can create practical challenges that impact both daily life management and emergency situations, making French language learning essential for successful budget living rather than merely culturally respectful. Basic conversational ability enables better apartment hunting, job searching, healthcare navigation, and social integration that directly impact living costs and quality of life. Language exchange programs, community classes, and online resources provide learning opportunities that support practical needs while remaining within budget constraints. Banking and financial management in France require understanding systems that operate differently than American expectations while providing services that support international residents' financial needs. Opening European bank accounts eliminates international transaction fees and provides local payment capabilities essential for apartment rentals, utility payments, and employment income management. Understanding tax obligations for foreign residents prevents legal problems while potentially providing tax benefits unavailable in home countries. Consumer protection laws in France provide rights and recourses that protect residents from fraudulent practices, unfair treatment, or contract violations that could impact housing, employment, or service provision. Understanding tenant rights, employment protections, and consumer recourse options provide security for individuals living on tight budgets who can not afford legal problems or financial exploitation. These protections create safer environments for budget living than countries with weaker consumer protection frameworks. Cultural integration challenges can impact mental health and social satisfaction in ways that affect overall quality of life and long-term sustainability of budget living arrangements. Understanding cultural expectations, social norms, and communication styles reduces cultural friction that can create stress, isolation, or misunderstandings affecting housing, employment, or social relationships. Successful cultural adaptation enhances living experience while preventing problems that could destabilize budget living situations. French bureaucracy represents both the greatest frustration and most essential element of successful long-term budget living, operating through systems that prioritize thoroughness over efficiency, while ultimately providing stability and protection that justify initial complexity and patience. Requirements. Understanding bureaucratic processes transforms overwhelming administrative requirements into manageable steps that provide legal security essential for sustainable budget living arrangements. Visa requirements for non-EU citizens create the foundation for legal residence that enables access to housing, employment, healthcare, and social services that make budget living possible and sustainable. Tourist visas allow 90-day stays within 180-day periods, insufficient for serious budget living but adequate for testing feasibility and establishing initial connections. Student visas provide longer-term options with work permissions that enable income generation while maintaining legal status. Working holiday visas for qualified nationalities offer one-year permissions with full work rights, creating opportunities for extended cultural immersion with income generation. Housing documentation requirements in France demand preparation that American rental experiences rarely require, but these requirements also provide tenant protections that justify additional paperwork. Complexity. Apartment rentals typically require income proof equivalent to 3 times monthly rent, guarantor signatures from French residents, or substantial bank deposits, and extensive documentation, including bank statements, employment letters, and identity verification. Understanding these requirements enables preparation that expedites apartment hunting while avoiding disappointment. From inadequate documentation, work permit regulations vary significantly based on visa status, citizenship, and employment type, creating opportunities for legal income generation within specific parameters that budget-conscious individuals must understand thoroughly. EU citizens enjoy full work rights without additional permits, while other nationalities face restrictions that vary by visa type and employment category. Understanding legal work options prevents violations that could jeopardize resident status, while enabling income generation that supports budget living sustainability. Tax obligations for foreign residents in France operate through systems that can provide advantages or create obligations depending on income sources, residence duration, and tax treaty provisions between France and residents' home countries. Understanding tax requirements prevents legal problems while potentially providing tax benefits through foreign earned income exclusions or tax treaty provisions. Professional tax advice becomes worthwhile for individuals planning extended residence or complex income situations. Banking requirements for foreign residents involve initial complexity that provides ongoing advantages for budget management and legal compliance. Opening French bank accounts typically requires proof of address, income verification, and identity documentation that can challenge individuals without established residence history. However, French bank accounts provide local payment capabilities essential for apartment rentals, utility payments, and employment income while eliminating international transaction fees that could strain tight budgets. Healthcare system enrollment provides access to French medical care through processes that require bureaucratic navigation but ultimately provide healthcare security, essential for sustainable budget living. European health insurance cards provide immediate coverage for EU citizens, while private insurance or French healthcare system enrollment through employment or student status provides comprehensive coverage. Understanding healthcare enrollment prevents medical financial emergencies that could destabilize budget living arrangements. Social security and benefit systems in France provide safety nets that can support individuals during employment gaps or financial difficulties, though eligibility requirements vary based on legal status and contribution history. Understanding available support systems provides security for budget living arrangements, while ensuring compliance with requirements that maintain eligibility. These systems create social support that enables sustainable budget living even during temporary financial difficulties. Document legalization and translation requirements for foreign documents create initial expenses, but provide official recognition essential for housing, employment, and administrative processes. Birth certificates, diplomas, and other official documents typically require translation by certified translators and legalization through appropriate authorities. Understanding these requirements enables preparation that prevents delays in essential administrative processes. Legal assistance and advocacy resources in France provide support for foreign residents navigating complex administrative processes or facing legal challenges that could impact resident status or financial stability. Understanding available legal resources provides security for individuals living on tight budgets who cannot afford private legal services while ensuring access to professional assistance when administrative or legal problems arise. After months of living on $700 in France, something remarkable happens. The romantic stereotypes fade away, replaced by something far more valuable: genuine understanding of a culture that has mastered the art of living well with intention rather than excess. The France you discover through budget living bears little resemblance to tourist brochures or Instagram feeds, but it offers something those sanitized versions never could: authenticity, community, and the profound satisfaction that comes from earning your place in a culture rather than simply purchasing access to it. The real magic isn't in the money you save or the exotic locations you can afford to visit. It's in the morning ritual of walking to the neighborhood boulangerie where the baker remembers your preference for pain de campagne slightly underbaked. It's in the evening conversations with neighbors in the apartment courtyard, discussing everything from local politics to the best techniques for making ratatouille. It's in the gradual realization that happiness doesn't correlate with income when you're living in a culture that prioritizes quality over quantity, relationships over possessions, and experiences over accumulation. French society operates on philosophical foundations that Americans rarely experience. The understanding that work supports life rather than defining it. That pleasure and responsibility can coexist without contradiction. And that community thrives when individuals contribute their unique talents rather than competing for identical markers of success. Living on a tight budget doesn't exclude you from this culture. It actually provides better access to its core values than wealth typically allows. The weekly markets become your social calendar and entertainment venue. You learn which vendors offer the best seasonal produce, whose cheese selections deserve special attention, and which stalls provide samples generous enough to constitute light breakfast. These interactions teach you more about French culture than months of museum visits or guidebook reading ever could. You begin to understand how food connects communities, how seasonal rhythms shape daily life, and how quality ingredients transform simple meals into memorable experiences. Evening café culture reveals itself as France's most democratic institution. Your €3 coffee purchases equal table rights and social observation opportunities that wealthy tourists miss entirely by focusing on expensive restaurants and exclusive venues. You watch first dates unfold across small tables, business deals negotiated over afternoon drinks, and friendships maintained through weekly gatherings that span generations. The café becomes your office, your social club, and your window into authentic French social dynamics. The transportation networks that initially seemed overwhelming become pathways to countless adventures. Weekend train trips to medieval villages cost less than dinner for two in American restaurants, while providing access to landscapes, architecture, and cultural experiences that shape your understanding of European history and cultural development. Your monthly transport pass transforms from budget necessity into unlimited adventure. Access. Seasonal rhythms begin to shape your thinking in ways that year-round climate control and global food supplies never allowed. Summer markets overflow with tomatoes, peaches, and melons that redefine your understanding of what these fruits should taste like. Autumn brings apple harvests and wine festivals that connect you to agricultural cycles urban Americans rarely consider. Winter markets showcase root vegetables, preserved foods, and comfort dishes that reveal how traditional cultures adapted to natural rhythms. Rather than fighting them, language acquisition happens naturally through necessity rather than forced study. Daily interactions require communication that gradually shifts from gestures and broken phrases to actual conversations about topics that matter to you and your neighbors. You begin to think in French for certain concepts that don't translate directly into English, marking the moment when cultural integration becomes genuine rather than superficial. Community integration reveals itself through small gestures that indicate acceptance. Neighbors begin including you in courtyard gatherings. Market vendors slip extra fruits into your bags. Without charging additional amounts, local bar regulars invite you into conversations that extend beyond polite tourist exchanges. These moments cannot be purchased or scheduled. They emerge naturally when cultural curiosity meets respectful persistence. The most profound realization comes gradually. This lifestyle isn't a temporary adventure or extended vacation from real life. It's a demonstration that alternative approaches to success, happiness, and community are not only possible, but often superior to cultures that prioritize accumulation over appreciation, consumption over creation, and individual achievement over collective well-being. France offers a masterclass in living intentionally within means while maximizing satisfaction, connection, and cultural richness. Your $700 budget stops being a limitation and becomes a framework for conscious living. That eliminates unnecessary expenses while maintaining access to experiences that money alone cannot provide. You learn to distinguish between wants and needs, between temporary pleasures and lasting satisfaction, between consuming culture and participating in it. These lessons extend far beyond France, providing life skills and perspectives that enrich future decisions regardless of location or financial circumstances. The friendships formed through shared meals, cultural discoveries, and daily life navigation create international connections that last lifetimes. Unlike tourist relationships, based on temporary proximity, or business relationships based on mutual benefit, these friendships develop through genuine cultural exchange and mutual support during challenges that forge deeper bonds. So when people ask whether you can really live in France on $700 a month, you'll smile and realize they're asking the wrong question. The real question isn't whether it's financially possible. Thousands of people prove that daily. The real question is whether you're ready to trade comfortable predictability for transformative adventure, whether you can embrace cultural learning over cultural consumption, and whether you possess the flexibility and curiosity that turn budget constraints into doorways toward authentic experiences that change how you understand both France and yourself. France doesn't need another tourist taking photos and complaining about prices, but it always has room for someone willing to learn its rhythms, contribute to its communities, and discover that sometimes the best things in life aren't free. They're just priced according to different values than the ones you started with. Your $700 isn't buying you a discount version of an expensive lifestyle. It's purchasing access to an entirely different approach to living that happens to be more sustainable, more satisfying, and infinitely more authentic than anything money alone could buy.